It was Valentine's Day, 2017. I was living alone in a small, isolated house just outside of Willow Creek, a quiet town surrounded by dense woods. I'd moved there for the peace and quiet. But that night, I realized just how alone I really was, and how dangerous that could be. I remember it was unusually cold for February. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes you feel like you're being watched, even when you're inside. I'd just gotten home from work. I was a night shift nurse at the local hospital, and the house was dark. I always left a light on, but it was off. I figured the bulb had burned out. I didn't think much of it at the time. I stepped inside, flipping the light switch. Nothing. The power was out. I fumbled for my phone, using the flashlight to guide me to the kitchen. That's when I heard it. A faint scratching sound, like nails dragging against glass. It was coming from the living room window. I froze. My heart was pounding so hard, I could feel it in my throat. I told myself it was just a tree branch, but I knew better. The trees were too far from the house. I shone my phone toward the window, and for a split second, I thought I saw something, a shadow, moving just out of view. I blinked, and it was gone. I tried to shake it off. I lit a few candles and sat down on the couch, telling myself I was just tired. But then, I heard it again. This time, it wasn't scratching. It was footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps circling the house. I could hear the crunch of snow underfoot, the faint creak of someone or something pressing against the siding. I grabbed my phone, ready to call the police, but there was no signal. Of course. The storm must have knocked out the towers. I was completely cut off. The footsteps stopped, and for a moment, there was a silence. Then, a knock. 3 sharp raps on the front door. My blood ran cold. I didn't move, I didn't breathe. The knock came again, louder this time. And then, a voice. A man's voice, low and raspy. He said, "I know you're in there." I didn't recognize the voice. I didn't want to. I backed away from the door, my mind racing. Should I answer? Should I hide? Before I could decide, the knocking stopped. I waited, listening, but all I could hear was the wind. I thought maybe he'd left. But then, I saw it. Through the window, just beyond the flickering light of the candles, I saw him. A figure, standing in the shadows. He was tall, wearing a dark coat, his face obscured. And he was holding something. A knife. I could see the glint of the blade in the moonlight. I didn't scream. I didn't make a sound. I just ran. I bolted out the back door into the woods, not caring about the cold or the darkness. I didn't stop until I reached the neighbor's house, nearly a mile away. They called the police, but by the time they arrived, the man was gone. There were no footprints, no sign of forced entry. Nothing. The officers searched the area, but they didn't find anything. They said it was probably a prank, some kids messing around, but I knew better. I could still feel his eyes on me, even as they drove me back to the house. And when I walked inside, I found something on the kitchen table. A single red rose, tied with a black ribbon. And a note. It said, "Happy Valentine's Day." I moved out the next day. I couldn't stay there, not after that. But sometimes, late at night, I still think about him. Who was he? Why did he choose me? And is he still out there, waiting for the next Valentine's Day? Be careful who you let into your life, even on Valentine's Day. Because not all love stories have happy endings. Some are just nightmares.